So you've got a rest seat here. You are going to have a rest seat there for indirect retention. You're going to have one here to provide tooth support, and one here because we've got a ring clasp. Again, we'll go through why you're positioning and why in more detail. So, hot, clean tool, and you're using your green wax. Where you've got an obvious indent for rest seat, just fill it, she says. So you've got a rest seat here. So this is freehand waxing. Filling your tissue stop.
Yeah.
I've put one on this side, but you don't actually need it because you've got the rest seat here. It makes no real difference if you put one in or not, to be honest. So, because you've got a bounded saddle and there's a little rest seat cut in there.
I don't remember cutting these rest seats in.
Well, you wouldn't cut them in as a tech. Why would you cut them in?
No, so did that already come on the model?
Yeah.
Then? Oh, right.
So the dentist should prep your teeth.
With rest seats.
How do you do a rest seat?
You just cut the tooth.
Just uses like a little rose head burr and cuts in.
Okay.
So this goes into though what you're talking about with not over trimming and doing work to teeth.
So they've technically already designed
It's
part
prepped
of it,
them,
haven't
yeah.
they? So they'll tell you where the clasps go and where everything goes.
Yes,
Right.
should have.
Meaning they don't always.
Yeah.
So you're making clasps then, right?
Oh, sorry. Right, so this is your
Clasp.
nope. That's your no. I've forgotten what it is.
The bar.
So not
It's
the
your
indirect-
minor connector. So going up here, because that is a component, I'm joining the component from the rest seat down here. So I'll have one going up here as well.
Is going to draw into the major.
Yes, because we're going to have here your retention,
Saddle.
Saddle or retention.
saddle and retention.
Mm.
It's kind of all one thing. So again, I need one going up here so that you can join that rest seat. Thank you. So that's now joined to here, so then we'll put retention spanning across that. But that is your minor
Minor.
connector.
So wait, can I just... So the minor connector is just this bit here, or
Yeah.
the whole...
Nope, because that's your rest seat.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
that's,
so that's
that's a
just
specific component of the chrome on its own.
So you make these as well?
Yeah, what the
They're
rest
not
seats.
pre-formed?
No.
Yeah.
This is all the hand waxing because you can't get a pre-formed blob of wax to put it in a rest seat because they all come
Oh,
different
in-
shapes
yeah,
and sizes
yeah.
anyway.
So how thick do you know to make this minor connector?
You need at least 0.5 mil of metal,
Okay.
and it should go at a right angle like that. So you don't want the rest from here at the moment. I don't know whether you can see, but it's kind of sloping a little bit.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're just gonna thicken it up?
Yeah, it needs to be thickened at a right angle to provide enough support. 'Cause there might be teeth bouncing up and down on this.
How do you know if
Okay.
this part here isn't too thick?
Well, you just
The
make
top
it,
one.
there's a rest seat cut in here, so you just make it the same height as the rest of the tooth.
Oh, right. So you just basically fill in the groove.
You're just
Flush
filling,
it,
you're just
yeah.
filling the hole in and make it flush.
Yes.
So,
So the dentist he creates that hole
Yeah.
before
And
taking
you
the
just fill it
impression.
in.
Okay, so you
this is, but this goes back to when I was talking about the 7 stages of the dentures.
Yeah.
And a lot of it isn't us, it's treatment planning. So you'd send your primer in to the dentist articulated. So the dentist knows, has he got enough space for the rest seat? because he might not. So he might have to, first of all, cut the rest seat in and then adjust the opposing tooth so that he's got enough room for the rest seats.
I hope that's on this side.
So that is your first stage because it's all the freehand waxing we can do for now.
That's it. That's the first stage.
This is the first stage. At the second stage, we will add your retention in and get all this connected up.
And you see these stops? Are they designed by the dentist? As
No,
well?
this is all. So we've laid the wax.
Yeah, we make
spacer.
these, but the position, the way they're formed.
It's up to you to do it. You would never have it, if you think about it though, it should be on the centre of the ridge. You're never going to have it coming this
Yeah.
way because it's spongy. You want it on the crest of the ridge because it's bony. So, I mean,
What if
anyway.
the bone is missing? Like the patient being, like the patient has been without teeth in this area for a very long time, and there's lots of bone resorption, and he decides to have a chrome.
Yeah, well, that's not the issue. The issue there would be you've got to build up enough acrylic and occlusion to make sure it's right, because the only difference when you've got lost a lot of bone is the height.
No, but I mean, is the stops.
Doesn't matter, because when we've cast this chrome anyway, we're going to take off this green area wax, which is just
so you see that Zoya's model? That's the master ring. So that's
Yeah.
what. Oh, so we're gonna use that later anyway.
yeah, we're going to sit. So once you've got all this cast in metal, you remove this because all it is a wax spacer
So
to give
this
you
model
room
is
for
just
the
for-
retention, because you don't want the retention touching the tissue. So you've put space here for the acrylic to go underneath the retention.
Yeah.
So in theory anyway, all that will be flush.
Yeah, I get that. It's just so this model is.
Yeah.
So this model is just for casting.
It's just a dupe because it's refractory material. It
Yeah.
can go. It's investment. It
furnace,
goes
yeah.
in the furnace. You can't put type 3 in a furnace. It just explodes.
Oh.
So this is the refractory model. So it's a
What?
dupe of the master. This is not the same model, to be honest.
What plaster is this?
It's phosphate bonded investment.
It's what we
Yeah.
use for
Yes.
Cronenberg.
It's the same sort of thing that you use for Crown and Bridge. You know, the investment to fill up the ring. You have to make your model out of it because you can't put that in the furnace.
But the investment is white.
It's just a different type of investment.
Okay.
I mean, you can get all different kinds of investment. You can get cobalt chrome investment in white. It's usually a bit grey, but this is the first time I've ever seen a pink colour.
Okay.
But it's just the colour. So if you think about all the different coloured dye stones you can get, it's just a pigment added. It
Doesn't make.
doesn't make any difference. It's just that's pink.
So what type of
Lingual plate.
lingual plate?
I'll sort it out. The only difference here is there is no what you'd consider minor connector here, because this rest seat sits and connects to the ring clasp. Just because of the design, when you've got a ring clasp, you should have a rest seat mesial and distal of the tooth, not just one distal.
Okay.
So that's why I've put 2 rest seats in that tooth. It's because it's a ring clasp. If it was a C clasp, so one cupping either side, you don't need the distal rest seat. But yeah, but it just stops the rock again. It acts like indirect retention.
So that side will be tooth
Indirect
bone
retention.
or is tooth support,
Yes.
Connectors.
and this
It's-
side will be
it's what
tooth
connects
mucus,
the individual parts. So this is an indirect.
What?
That's the indirect retention.
Connect.
Are you gonna make?
No,
that's
that's
a minor
not the indirect retention.
That's
Actually, I've just
minor
realised I
connect.
do
Oh, sorry, no,
apologise.
indirect direction. I
There's
mean,
another rest seat going on. So you've got these aren't massively visible
That
Oh,
there.
and that,
here. You've got a rest seat here.
what is that?
What about the one on there?
That was an accident.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So there's a rest seat that goes on here.
Why?
Indirect retention. So
it's gonna stop it from moving.
it stops the
Okay.
pivoting action.
Of what?
I didn't mean.
The denture, because we're going to have a lingual bar going down
Yeah,
here.
but I'm gonna get that, yeah.
So if we didn't have something strutting up here, and when the occlusal load lifts up, so if you're eating something chewy,
So
for
if you
example,
bite on the side, so what you mean is going to lift this side up.
or
So
if you
this-
have something, like I was saying, if you have something chewy, and you're eating a toffee, for example, at the back, and the denture lifts up, without indirect retention at the
In at
front,
the front would lift it.
no, it'd go in and damage. Because
just
it
lift
pivots
up.
like that. It's like I said, it's like a seesaw.
Also, it would be going to that thing with
Yes.
teeth, right, okay.
So if you don't have something coming up here, when the denture lifts up, the lingual bar would just dip in.
This would stabilise it basically.
Yeah.
Right, so
Indirect
Yeah.
retention. So it doesn't provide any mechanical retention as in a clasp, but it stops the pivoting action.
without the need for anything.
Yes.
Right, okay.
What I meant
That's what
minor
they use.
connectors, so that's a minor connector. Are you gonna make one for these as well?
Yes, exactly. So we're going to have your major connectors going to come down here, which is going to
So,
be
are you gonna
your
wait-
lingual bar.
Yeah.
Lingual bar.
It's going to be 4mm away from your gingival margin, because we've just discussed it.
And
And
6
then you're going to
millimetre.
have a minor connector coming up here to
So
join to the
join
rest
rest
seat.
seat and the major connector.
Yes,
Okay.
minor connectors. Good, we're getting it.
So
is it going to go to the depth right
No.
down?
is it 6 millimeters away?
No,
from-
you need 8mm depth, remember. So you need 8mm full depth to be able to use it, but you have to have it 4mm away from the gingival margin.
And from the base, from the...
It depends if you've got the lingual frenum. And this one's nigh on invisible, so you can imagine there's not a lot there. So basically,
So before you make these minor connectors, you're gonna first put the preformed wax there. Okay.
the lingual bar.
So that you
And
connect it to
Here
minor.
the clasp gonna go around here, right?
The undercut is actually on this side, so I've not surveyed this model. So your undercut on this clasp is down here.
So a minor connector.
No, your ring clasp comes around this way
Okay, so you're gonna.
and then into the undercut here. But when you survey this tooth, that'll make more sense.
Okay, I don't get it when you say 8 millimeters.
You've got to have 8mm height to use a
Lingual bar.
from here to the depth of the sulcus,
Okay.
just so you're not causing trauma or anything, because you need to keep it 4mm away from the gingival margins. I'm going to go through this step
Yeah,
by step. I'm not just going to leave you at this stage, but you can now.
So,
No, thank you. You can see where I've done my freehand waxing. Now this is messy, don't get me wrong. At this stage you can flame it. As soon as you start to lay more components, you can't. As soon as you've got a clasp on it, you can't touch it with a flamer because they are so fragile.
You mean the preformed shapes?
Yeah.
Wait, you said this is the only wax stuff you're doing on it?
Yeah, it's the only freehand wax.
Only freehand
Yeah.
wax.
Well, there's going to be a little bit more because our lingual bar is going to
Lingual
come
bar.
this way, and then we're going to connect it up to your
With the
retention. Yeah,
so
with the
the
wax.
retention is that
Yeah.
the preformed wax.
Yeah, everything, 9 times out of 10 with this stuff is preformed. So, can someone open it?
Oh, it's the tape here on the side.
So, if I'd got all this connected properly, I'd just lay this down. Don't cut huge amounts of this, only cut what you need. Because it is incredibly expensive.
Is it wax?
Yeah, it's all wax,
It has to sit on
the crest of the ridge.
crest of the
You just remember you've got to place teeth on this.
It's not at the center.
Hmm?
It's not at the center of the ridge.
I know,
Do you
but
have to put
you
it at the
put.
center?
From
I
one-
personally don't, because you've got to think with chrome, where are your teeth going? So if you have it coming too far around the buccal sulcus, where are your teeth going to go? You're just going to hack your teeth to bits.
Did you
neutral
place them
zone,
like
the
this?
tip is supposed to be at the...
I
So you
always
go
go
from
ever so
one
slightly
tooth
lingual.
to the other in a straight line.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then it all just needs joining up. So again, use freehand wax and just connect the dot. At this stage it is
So
connected.
is this a major...
No, I wouldn't class it as a major connector because it's not running from saddle to saddle.
It's the major connect.
Okay.
And the other thing you need to do with this is just make sure you've joined to your tissue stop.
Oh, right.
But don't fill in the holes.
Okay.
Because
Because
you
that's when
need,
the acrylic has
yeah.
to flow through.
So if you filled in the holes, you can't. Your acrylic's got nothing to grab. All right, there's going to be a space underneath here, but you want as much retention as possible because it's mechanical, not chemical.
Is this retention, what would you call it? It's retention, right?
Yeah, it's just retention, bar retention, or retention loops. Everyone calls it, will call it something different. What's it called on here? Punched grids round. It's retention.
So in your assignment, if we had one, like, first picture of mine all with the waxes, and can I just label them? What?